What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast, number 292, powered by the one and only Golden Eagle Energy Drink. Shout out to Golden Eagle Energy Drink for sponsoring all season 4 of the podcast. Please show them love at drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. They're great sponsors. Love them. Show them support. They supported us. We appreciate it. I want to say I apologize, of course, for having the episodes come out so late. Of course, the bar for bar breakdowns is what's taken up the time in a lot of these episodes, and that's why they're coming out late. But thankfully, this is it. The Drake Heart Part 6 bar for bar breakdown is towards the end of this episode, and that's it for the bar for bar breakdowns. I don't know if I'm ever going to dedicate this much time to breaking down lyrics of songs, of diss tracks ever again. It's too much time consuming, and it pushes the podcast back. It just changes schedules and stuff. And thankfully, at least with this last episode that took a little while to come out, there really wasn't much news that came out. Like, I went over everything from literally the last episode that I recorded till now, and not much really happened. So that saved me. So it wasn't really that bad when it came out to, just figuring out, hey, how much did I miss in the news space in hip-hop? And thankfully, it wasn't too much. So last track, the Heart Part 6 bar for bar breakdown towards the end. And then I'm going to do, the next episode I'm going to talk about the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Just my overall thoughts on it, who I think won, what I think is going to happen going down the line. And, we'll see what happens. So far it's the end right now, but we don't know, man. When Kendrick Lamar does his show on June, I think 19th or 18th, he might end up, performing Not Like Us, and that might put a battery in Drake's back to release a diss track again. And then it could start things right back up. We don't know what's going to happen on that day. It could be chill and nothing happens and everybody just kind of moves on, and who knows, man. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted on that. But let's get into the news. And, of course, it's Diddy update. Diddy is getting everything taken from him, everything that he was awarded with throughout his, 30 years of his career. And rightfully so, man. Once that video with Cassie came out, the surveillance video footage of him beating Cassie, once that came out, there was no more guessing if this is actually real or not, if Cassie's lying, or if any of the abused victims are lying. Pretty much anybody that defended Diddy has backtracked and said, I apologize for defending him. No, I was wrong. He's actually a bad person. Now, there are some people saying, oh my God, only let God can only judge who we are and stuff. Those people are just genuinely, I was going to say stupid, but I don't know how to word this, but they're just genuinely, stupid, I guess. I don't really know what other word to use, because, only God can judge you is something you say when you make a mistake, let's just say, that doesn't really, I guess, harm a bunch of people. I don't know, like, just say you cheat on your girlfriend, right? And you apologize for it badly, right? Okay, only God can judge you, make mistakes, right? That's something that harms, your girlfriend, but, you can kind of work through that as a person, as a human being. Beating the dog shit out of somebody like that on surveillance footage, and then having a history of people accusing you of doing that, that's not something that you can just say only God can judge you with. That's something that just, hey, if he did it once, right? There's just one lawsuit and that one incident that came out, and that's it. There's no more lawsuits that ever come out after that. It's just that one incident. Then I could see some people saying, you know what, only God can judge you. Things happen. But the fact that people are throwing that out there and that there's these insane lawsuits, like, come on. That's the dumbest shit you can say at that point. But what has Diddy lost now? He lost the Howard, university degree that they gave him. He lost a bunch of sponsorship deals, lost his ownership in Revolt, lost anything with that Diageo liquor deal and Ciroc and all that. Whatever else he's involved in, lost it all. He has now lost the key to the city that he was awarded with back in 2023. Let's go over the article. Diddy's key to New York City has been rescinded by Mayor Eric Adams in response to recently released video of Puffy brutally attacking his then-girlfriend Cassie in 2016. TMZ obtained 2 letters on Saturday, June 15th, one of which was sent to Combs Entertainment LLC's office in New York, and the other to his LA office. They were addressed to Diddy courtesy of Mayor Adams, who said he was deeply disturbed by the Cassie video. Adams said in the letter that he stands with survivors of domestic abuse and outlined that the key is used to recognize outstanding citizens. The mayor noted that the bad boy mogul no longer fits the criteria. The New York City chief also provided an address to which Diddy could return the keys. This move marks the first time a key to the Big Apple has been rescinded. Diddy reportedly received the letter on June 4th and returned the honor on June 10th. Rumors of the key withdrawal began back in May when the NYC mayor spoke with Pix 11 and was quizzed about the shocking footage that surfaced of Puffy attacking Cassie. He was asked whether Diddy's key to New York City, which Adams presented to him during a ceremony in Times Square last September, could be revoked. The mayor said he and his team were considering it. He said this at the time: "I think all of us were deeply disturbed by watching that chilling video of that young lady being assaulted by him," he said. The committee and the team, we've never resigned a key before, but we are now sitting down to see what the next steps forward are going to be. Asked again in a more direct fashion if he was considering taking the honor away, Adams replied, "We are taking everything under analysis, and the team will come back to me with the final determination." One person who will surely have to comment on Diddy losing his key to the city, 50 Cent, who recently took his trolling. Yeah. Anyways, that'd be interesting if they gave the key to 50. That would be like the ultimate slap in the face to Diddy. Everything comes back in full circle, man. It doesn't matter. All the good that you do and all the bad that you do in life eventually will come back full circle to either bless you or to haunt you. That applies. I've seen that happen every single day to people, real life. I've seen it happen with friends. I've seen it happen with people I don't know that well. It's like clear as day. I don't know how people don't notice this. Like, there's people that have done terrible things, and then there are some people that I knew, right, in high school that were just terrible people. Very bad people. Just that would sleep, let's just say guys, right, that would sleep with women there in high school, dump them, go sleep with another girl, dump them, go sleep with another girl. And then, like, years later, they end up with some, like, I know some of them end up with some diseases. Some are just flat out broke and just not doing good. One of them, I think, got cancer. Like, just shit that just, like, you're like, what the fuck happened? Like, what's going on here? Like, in high school, you were the man, homie. Damn, homie. Shout out to Winks. That's one of my favorite lines. But, like, shit that just comes back, and then I'm like, I kind of think about all the stuff that you did and how you treated people. It's kind of God's way of humbling you. I know it's kind of fucked up to say, right? Somebody getting cancer. I'm not saying, like, oh, haha, you deserve that. But it's like, things happen to some people sometimes because, and here's the unfortunate part, right? Things can happen to good people that have never done to anything, that haven't done anything to anybody as well, because it could be karma from your family, from people that have done things in your family that hasn't come back in full circle, and they'll go to somebody else. Sometimes I've seen that happen, and that's unfortunate. And that's why some people say, man, I'm always a good person. I always have all this shitty luck, and these shitty things happen. To be honest with you, about 80 to 90% of the stuff that happens to you, you can control. Obviously, you can't control if something bad like cancer happens to you. That's just, it is. Now, you can't control a little bit of that because how you eat, your lifestyle, if you're eating healthy, if you're just, working out, you can mitigate and control a lot of that stuff health-wise. But, some things you just can't control. It happens. Life happens, right? Nothing's going to go perfect in life. Nothing should go perfect in life because life would be boring, to be honest with you. If everything in life just went smooth and nothing ever went up or down, then you would be bored the hell out of life. So that's the kind of exciting thing about life. When you're low, you're down, you got a good thing to look forward to because there's a moment that eventually you're going to get out of that and you're going to be high and up there and enjoying life. And then when you're up there enjoying life, just know that, hey, this will last for whatever amount of time. Enjoy it, be happy, be grateful. But, you'll eventually go back down and, either you'll be humble because when you're at the high, you were treating people like shit or you were just not being appreciative, and then you'll be humbled, or you'll know that life happens. Things happen. You'll end up high, low lows. That's life. So Diddy experienced his high highs for a long time with doing a lot of low lows for a long time. And now he's low, like to the point where people were concerned he's probably going to commit suicide because of all the things that's happening to him. But, hey, man, all those years doing that shit, trying to hide surveillance video footage and all that stuff, it's going to come back to attack you. Whether it comes to you or your kids or somebody, it's going to come back one way or another. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted. I'm sure there's going to be more stuff coming out with Diddy. I want to be surprised if he gets locked up or, gets a warrant out for his arrest pretty soon here. I would not be surprised. I don't know. It could be announced tomorrow. Who knows? But yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted. And yeah, man, I don't know what else is there to take away from Diddy anymore. Maybe, I don't know, Bad Boy Records if he owns percentages of that. I don't know what else. Yeah, but they pretty much got everything he's been awarded with has been taken back. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted and see if anything else happens with Diddy. Continuing on, over the past week, the Young Thug YSL RICO trial turned into something crazy. One of Young Thug's lawyers ended up getting arrested, got bond. I had no idea what happened. Went over the news. I was like, what the hell? So that's probably the main thing that was missed after, basically a week hiatus from the podcast with working on that bar-for-bar breakdown. But let's go over it. Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, has managed to avoid jail after he was arrested during the YSL RICO trial for being in contempt of court. And for those of you that don't know what contempt of court is, it is an act of disobedience or disrespect towards the judicial branch of the government or an interference with its orderly process. So that was what Young Thug's lawyer was doing. The article says then the long-running and controversial case took another twist earlier this week when Steele was arrested in the courtroom for confronting Judge Earl Glanville about a private conversation reportedly held between Glanville, prosecutors, and one of the state's star witnesses before a court hearing. So basically, Young Thug's defense was like, why the hell are you guys having these secret conversations? That's weird. And because he called that out, the judge is like, you're getting 20 days in jail. After initially being sentenced to 10 weekends, or never mind, not 20 days, but 10 weekends in jail, Steele has now been granted bond pending his appeal of the contempt charge, meaning he will no longer have to report to jail on Friday, June 14th. Steele's own attorney celebrated the legal victory in a statement saying, "We are thrilled that Brian will be home with his family for the Father's Day this weekend. We appreciate how quickly and thoroughly our appellate courts handled this unfortunate situation." Brian Steele's row with Judge Glanville began after the attorney found out about a private meeting between the judge, the prosecution, and a witness. Steele refused to tell the judge who had told him about the meeting, and in dramatic scenes, had the lawyer arrested, all of which was caught on a courtroom live stream. You can purge that contempt just by telling who it is that told you that information. That's all I need to know. So he's like, who the hell snitching on me, man? I'm trying to have this secret meeting to destroy Young Thug and this whole RICO thing, and you're not telling me, you found out this information, not telling me who would have said it. So, hey, man, he's not even a snitch. Even Young Thug's lawyer's not a damn snitch. That's insane. Glanville said to Steele, who refused to name the names based on a duty of confidentiality. Steele also said he wanted to spend his jail time with his client, Young Thug, to continue preparing their defense against the RICO charges. That is insane. I've never heard of anything like this. His lawyer would be locked up with him, and then they'll just be going over Young Thug's case. And another dramatic moment for this week, the witness at the heart of Steele's row in Glanville, Kenneth Copeland, refused to testify despite previously securing an immunity deal. He also subsequently fired his attorney while on the witness stand. Wow. So while on the witness stand, he fired. That's wow. I'm in shock right now. She's fired. I don't want her, Copeland said after being asked how he wanted to proceed, with the lawyer also saying she wanted to quit. While on stand, Copeland took the Fifth Amendment to even the most simple questions such as, how old are you? After he refused to comply, the judge held him in willful contempt of court since the prosecution had already offered him an immunity deal in exchange for his testimony against them. Wild, man. Lawyers getting fired, lawyers getting locked up. This is like a soap opera, is what it feels like. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, man. Probably one of the craziest, weirdest RICO trials ever. That's probably why they got these cameras in there, because they know something's going to happen. And these are the things that are happening. It's insane. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, man, and see, how Young Thug's, if Young Thug even changes his lawyers, because out of all the stuff that's going on, he might have second guesses with all this stuff. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll keep our eyes posted. Continuing on, let's talk about this insane story. I don't know what to make of it, man. It was shocking to read this person's caption and then read what happened after the caption. Let's go over it. So Webbie's DJ. Yeah, Webbie from, Boozy and, Trill Entertainment, all that. Wipe Me Down, that record. Has reportedly killed his wife and himself after sharing a lengthy post about why he hated working for Webbie. That's insane. I don't know when I was reading the caption, I was like, there's no way this could be true. So, according to Fox 5 Atlanta, law enforcement officials were alerted about shots fired at a home in Powder Springs, Georgia on Sunday, June 9th. Whereas the two bodies found at the residence weren't identified to the public at first, neighbors revealed that the couple who lived in that building had children. On Thursday, June 13th, Hip Hop DX received a statement from the Powder Springs Police Department with more details regarding the incident. I can confirm that Notorious Brown died from a self-inflicted gunshot wounds after killing Kalisha Seddon's Dunn, confirmed Captain J.W. Holcombe. I am being told that he went by the name T. Gutta when performing, which is DJ's name. Just hours before the cops showed up to his house, the culprit shared a lengthy note on Facebook wherein he aired his grievances about working for Webbie. This is wild. Basically, because that's a long thing, I'm going to read the first kind of paragraph. He said, "Dog, DJing for Webbie is living hell. First, that guy don't want to pay. Then that guy don't want to see nobody around him shine. Like nobody, not even his own brother. Why y'all think everybody left from around him? I was only supposed to be his tour DJ, but I had to be a driver, a doctor, a security, a PR, a babysitter, a booking agent, a referee, a counselor, a road manager, and a list of other things." Actually, let me read over it anyways. But yet this guy didn't appreciate none of it. I did all that shit with a smile on my face in front of thousands every night, but I was dying inside. All the times he had seizures on the planes, on stages, and hotels. Who do y'all think was there? Me, because his family ain't want to deal with him, or nobody on our team wanted to deal with him, but me. Our driver quit because he ain't want to pay him. Then every time we would try to make our money in other ways, he always found a way to stop that too. So it's like he don't want to pay, but don't want us eating nowhere else. Then the guy want to get mad in his feelings when Boozy needs us to help him. The guy is a straight hater. I can't remember how many times he's told me he don't want nobody blowing up off of his name. That's why he don't do features. He don't like taking pictures with other artists or fans. He thinks they're trying to get shine off of him. And then he continues on. Damn, it's a long paragraph, but I'll read the rest of it. It was days I straight dreaded going on tour with him. The guy complains about everything. Being around him is like having to take care of my kids. We had to remind him every day to take his medicine or not to do some stupid shit. The guy would do stupid kitty shit and be like, "Gotta record me doing this." And the shit will never get better because his brother, Derek, just makes excuses for him, though he be mad he don't pay him neither. The shit on the road was so bad, our longtime manager had a stroke and all. Then the producer for Savage Life 6 had a brain aneurysm or something in that nature because he was stressed and all. Webbie wanted him to produce the whole album but not pay and didn't want to do the split sheets or nothing. He said, "It's my songs and I should get all the money." He concluded, and yes, he has a health issue that causes him to have seizures, but it gets 10 times worse when he snorts that dope, meaning cocaine, I'm assuming. He got to be the worst artist to DJ for. Yes, I DJed for him for 10 years, but I always was hoping it would get better or another major artist would recognize my talent, but he blocked everything. I never asked the dude for shit. I came around with my own everything. The super unit shit was the biggest piece of bullshit. That shit is only designed so Derek can get paid while everybody else do the work. He promises to help artists, but never does. It was some good times, but it was more bad times than anything. I never in my life met somebody that complained more than him. The guy is straight up miserable. Sorry, I'm replacing the N-word with guy on all this stuff. First, he posted this hours before he did the shooting. So first, this guy wasn't in a great mental state. Let's just say that. I think he posted this just to kind of get it off his chest that Webbie is a terrible person. And then he decided, hey, let me just end it all because what I had planned out with Webbie because here's the thing, right? When you bring somebody on your team and you promise them, I'm sure Webbie promised a lot of the people around him that, hey, you work for me for free or you work for a very discounted price And when I come up, we're all going to eat. Well, Webbie came up at a certain point, and he probably didn't help everybody eat. He probably was selfish and kept everything for himself. What does that do? That makes everybody else's life miserable. And a lot of people don't see a way out of that. You know, they're thinking, like, see, he was working for him for 10 years. That's what, 2014, 2013? He was probably thinking, hey, if I dedicate enough time to Webbie, maybe I'll get something out of this. Maybe I'll meet a different artist I can go work for or do something. But then that never ended up happening. So when you dedicate that much time of your life into something and nothing comes out of it, and you come out of it in a worse situation, that deteriorates your mental health completely, because in your mind you're thinking, hey, if I dedicate enough time to do this, it's going to go great. I can, provide for my family. I can go to the next level and do other things. But then it backfires, and all those years you spent just went to shit and went worse. So that'll fuck with your mental health a lot. And then you factor in any personal life issues, and some people just snap. They can't have it anymore. He's a sucker. Here's the thing. I'm not a person who, let me word this properly, because I don't want to say, it's a little delicate thing to say. I'm not a person who is, I guess, I have no feelings towards people killing themselves. I think killing yourself is a coward's way out in life. I think whatever you're going through in life, eventually you will be able. Now, here's a little bit of a difference, right? When people have depression, about 80% of it can be fixed. There is that rare 20 to 10% of people that, literally, they go to the doctors, they have something off in their brain, chemically balanced, whatever. Something's off in their brain, where they have voices in their head of just evil things. And you know how serial killers, they check serial killers and something went wrong somewhere. And that's basically a select few, probably 20 to 10% of people have real depression. That no matter what they do, if they change their lifestyle, they work out, they do whatever, anything, eat healthier, change, friends, if they change habits, they do. It never fixes. They're still depressed. Doesn't matter what they do. They could be a multimillionaire. They could be poor. They could be healthiest person on earth. They could have the best friends, the best lifestyle, everything, but still the depression's there. I'm not referring to those people. If those people end up killing themselves, that is demons in their head. They got something going on that is next level. I don't know his situation, right? But I'm willing to bet, just because of the sucker move of him killing his wife, girlfriend, whoever it was, I don't know if they were married or not, regardless. That is a sucker move. If you're going to take yourself out and give up on life because you got some shit going on in your life, don't take out your wife, and now the kids are left with nobody. That's what I hate. Those people that kill themselves and kill other people in the process, those are the biggest piece of shits. If you kill yourself, I don't know. I go 50-50 on it sometimes. I'm like, yeah, suicide, you kill yourself. I feel bad for certain moments. I feel bad for the ones that they don't have opportunity, and that's why they kill themselves. They see that there's really, really no hope. And most of the people that go through depression, they have that type of mentality, but there is hope in a lot of these things, right? If somebody in a very poor, because here's why I have this mentality. I come from a very, very poor country that had no opportunities, that had nothing. Literally, we cheated death. My mom was just telling me a story about how, and this is probably one of the craziest stories. I didn't know about it. So sometimes I'll have conversations with my mom, and she'll, talk about when we were going through the war. My dad was out because he was a police officer at the time. He was out of the city that was getting attacked at that moment. My dad didn't know the city was getting attacked at that moment. This is the city that we lived in. He didn't know we were getting attacked at that moment. He was out there doing his police work, helping other people. Come to find out, the city that we're at was getting attacked, so eventually he came back, and then we got up out of there. Our dad saved, our lives because he had, being a police officer, he had intel on things that the average person unfortunately didn't have. Like, hey, okay, these people are coming here to kill us. hey, we have to get the hell up out of here. Some people unfortunately didn't know, or just timing on things was bad. And that's the thing with war. You have no idea. You're just it's luck of the draw if you make it out alive. Basically, the day before my dad came back, my mom didn't have obviously proper intel. We were staying at our house, and this lady came, which was our neighbor, and she said, "Hey, get out of here because they're gonna start shooting this place up." And they came to our house, specific area. This neighbor that we had was a little bit further away, probably like a block or two away, right? We ended up going to her house, thinking they were going to be safe. Ultimately, they sprayed all the houses. But how they did it was they sprayed like the middle of it, just so it can get collapsed. They never sprayed down on the ground. So anybody that was laying down on the ground didn't die, got lucky. And we were all laying down on the ground. The whole house was sprayed up. Just like that, they could have easily came into the house and just shot us all and killed us all, and we would have been all gone. And this diverse mentality never existed. I would have never existed, nothing, right? So I have this history. My parents have this PTSD from this stuff. My parents have dealt with a lot of stuff. Me, thankfully, at the time, I was fairly young, so I don't really remember a lot of it. But when I hear stories like this, insane. So I come from a country that's very, very poor, no opportunities. And yet people don't kill themselves. Yet people still find a reason to live. So when you come from areas like America, because this is how I view it, I compare differences here. When you come from areas like America, where, yeah, not everything is perfect, but there are chances to change your life and change the way you're doing things. There are so many opportunities in life here. It is like, I am just thankful every day I'm alive because I'm appreciative of everything. All opportunities that I get. So let me kind of put this all into perspective. It confuses me when I see some people kill themselves when they still have opportunity. Like he could have not easily, but I know it's a process. He could have, hey, I spent 10 years helping this guy. Let me cut this off. Let me see if I can do something with this DJ thing. Maybe I can use Webbie's name, show photos that I took of Webbie, and maybe use that as a way in Atlanta to try to do something with it. Something. Killing yourself to me is the easy way out. I have very little sympathy for those people. It just depends on the situation, because there has been moments where I've been sympathetic. There's certain people that kill themselves. But 90% of the time, just like, man, you're a loser. You couldn't deal with some pressure in your life, so you killed yourself. It's like one of those was a rich guy, a stockbroker guy, and he lost all his stocks. Like, he just went negative. He owed like millions of dollars and just jumped out of like a fucking, I don't even know, big ass, one of those big ass towers. I don't know if it was in New York. I don't know where. Just jumped out and killed himself. It's like, why would you do that? You got family, you got kids, all because you lost some money, man. It is what it is. Life, you lose money, millions, whatever. Yeah, it must have sucked at the time, but that's not the only moment in your life. The world doesn't end there. The world doesn't stop at that moment. There's so much more things in life you could, and especially if you got a wife and kids, that's the most sucker shit ever. Like, you're leaving your kids to fend off by themselves in this world because you couldn't handle a situation in your life. So that's how I view this overall. Webbie's if all this stuff is true about Webbie, he's a piece of shit for not paying people properly. Backwards ass mentality. And here's the thing too. What did he say here? Being around him is like having to take care of my kids. We had to remind him every day to take his medicine or don't do some stupid shit. That's, unfortunately, a lot of artists are like that. They just don't give a fuck. And then I'll be on this podcast asking, why is this person committing another crime when they just got out of a situation? Unfortunately, a lot of them still have a little kid mentality and don't show up on time, doing things properly. And that's why people don't want to work with them. People don't want to do interviews with them. People don't want to associate with them, nothing. So that's another thing that you should get out of this. Word of mouth goes out. If you ain't proper about your business, people are going to slowly stop fucking with you. They're not going to tell you, but they'll stop picking up the phone call. They'll stop texting you. They'll slowly get out of your life. And you'll realize, damn, what did I do to deserve this? Well, you didn't show up on time. You didn't give people the proper money. You didn't give people the proper respect. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't do this, didn't do that. And the next thing you know, you're out of this thing. And then you play victim. Oh, everybody's fake in this music industry. Everybody's this, everybody's that. Nobody wants to fuck with me. Nah, some of it's got to be you too. There's no way that nobody wants to rock with you like that. Yeah, man. Overall, crazy story. I didn't know what to make of it. I was in shock, but I wanted to go over it just because it's probably one of the craziest stories that I've ever read. Let's play the news clip of the actual police showing up. Let's see what this is about.
We start in Powder Springs, where police are investigating that deadly double shooting. News Edge reporter Eric Mock has the latest.
Powder Springs police tell us they got the call of shots fired here at this Forest Hill Road home at around noon Sunday. They're not identifying the victim and suspect in this murder-suicide yet, but neighbors here told us the couple did have children.
Honestly, it's a scary thing to know that this can occur right around the corner from your home that you're raising your kids in.
Haley Moss says it's scary knowing a murder-suicide happened just down the street from her.
Thursday, she was out here and on her phone, and you wave because everybody's so busy. Hey, but just to pull up today and see this is just devastating. Really devastating.
Fellow neighbor Randa Copeland says that was the last time she saw the neighbor who lived at this home on Forest Hill Road alive.
See, that's the sucker shit I'm talking about. You kill your girlfriend, wife, then you kill yourself, and you leave your kids with nothing. That's the part that really pissed me off. That's why it was hard for me to have any type of sympathy for this guy. Who does that type of shit? Doesn't matter how hard your life is going, any of that. So, anyways, I want to get off the topic. Let's get into something crazy. Not as crazy as this, but this was interesting. So Pharrell has officially, subliminally responded to Drake. And he did it in the most Pharrell way possible, which is on the Despicable Me 4 soundtrack. Shout out to Despicable Me, by the way. That's one of my favorite animated series or whatever you want to call it. Very, very funny, man. I remember seeing the first one, and I was like, this is... And I'm a full-grown adult. I'm not even going to lie. I don't even care that it's just for kids. I just love watching it. That's how great it is. So... apparently, Pharrell has worked with Despicable Me for years and years, and he released a track called Double Life. Now, this is interesting because in the actual Despicable Me movie, Gru, which is the main character, the big, tall guy, skinny guy, he leads a double life. He has this secret life where he's this... he used to be a villain, then he turned into a good guy because of the kids that he... I think he adopted, if I remember in the first Despicable Me. I don't know if he adopted him or I think he adopted him. But yeah, he used to be this evil guy. Then he turned into the guy fighting for good. And, when he lives this regular life, he's living a double life because at night he goes and protects people. And then during the day, he's a regular guy mowing his lawn and stuff like that. So Pharrell in the track is pretty much saying Drake is living a double life. On the track, he raps this: lie detector time. Hey, what are you hiding? Nothing wrong being private. Make sure it ain't wrong. You know how Kendrick Lamar has been talking about Drake. He says he's this, but then he does all this crazy shit with the drugs and the gambling and the alcohol and all this stuff. He's a deadbeat father. He pretends like he's actually a father. Kendrick Lamar has been saying this for a while. Fans were quick to notice the bars, with one commenting under the tweeted song, Drake about to stop Adonis from ever watching Despicable Me. He turned his Minions song to a diss, crying emoji. I think these lyrics have to do with Gru, not Drake. Pharrell doing anything to stay relevant after falling off over a decade ago. Come on, man, guys. Y'all just be talking at your ass. But let me go back. Let me see if I can find the direct lyrics. Because there was more than that. There's definitely more than that people were like, hey, what are you hiding? What do you do when you're gone? Nothing wrong being private. Make sure it ain't wrong. Your life double-sided, two-faced like coins. What side do I get on? What side do I get? What side are you on? Yeah, people are already annotating this, saying that it's dissing Drake on Genius. So what have you done? Some of your dirt has come to light. Why were you speeding up that hill until the brakes come off and someone saw you in a fight? Am I right? Yeah, I don't know. But if you watch the opening, I think it's the opening scene on Despicable Me 4, he's like, Gru is like driving at night. So I don't know. It could be a reach, but in the third verse is, I know you heard the rumors. You must get over to it right away. If anyone can do it, you're going to get there soon. It's not okay. You got cars to drive, plenty of jets to fly. When will you arrive? You're running out of time. Don't you see that everything is on the line? So sorry, but you have to choose a side. You'll never know when it's your time to go and where you end up in life. That's cold. You can't ignore you're spending your life. Your watch is broken because you spent all your time. It's now or never unless everything's right. Before the spinning stops, you must pick a side. Maybe he could be saying, because, come get Pharrell shit out of my house. Maybe he's talking about, hey, you show respect by buying this jewelry, or you try to show respect, but then you disrespect, so pick a side. I don't know. I don't know if it's a reach. Let me know if you guys think it's a reach. I think it's got... I can understand why people think it's a diss, but it just works too well with the Despicable Me 4 that I don't really see it being a diss. I don't know. People on Genius are already calling it a diss, but yeah. That's the song. Listen to it. Despicable Me 4 is coming out, I believe, July 3rd. Of course, always in July, so I'll be on the lookout for that. If you've watched Despicable Me, I haven't seen, what's crazy? I haven't seen the Minions movie, and I don't think, I could be wrong, but I probably have. I just don't remember, because I watch these, and then I watch them once, and then kind of like forget that I even watched them sometimes. Not to say that it's a bad, movie, but I'm just that type of person where I'll watch something. I have to watch it like multiple times for it to get like actual stuck in my head. Because at that point, if I just watch a movie once, I'll forget a lot about the movie. I don't know if I've seen Despicable Me 3, but I've seen Despicable Me 1 and 2. I think I've seen 3 too. I could be. I just got to remember what was Despicable Me 3 for. Wow, let me see. Me 3. What was the third one about? This came out in 2017? No way. Let me mute the music. Oh, I've seen 3. Yeah, never mind. I've seen 3, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing this. Yep. So, yeah, I've seen 1, 2, and 3. I haven't seen the Minions thing, and I haven't seen, obviously, this new one's coming out, but I want to watch. Minions one, I heard, did insane numbers. Because I was, what's crazy? I was looking at, I was actually watching a lot of interviews from George Lucas, who made Star Wars and made Indiana Jones and American Graffiti, all these hit movies. Because as a director, I'm not a director, right? I play that role a little bit in the Give Richard I Try documentary, but I want to get better at these things as I'm producing documentaries, and eventually, who knows? I might get into movies. I don't know. We'll see. But I just like doing documentaries, right? So, I was just watching George Lucas talk about a lot of this stuff, and I was looking at all the list of the top grossing movies of all time, and Minions was like number 7 with like $2 billion, astronomical numbers. So they're killing it over there with that. But yeah, we'll see if there's any subliminal disses on the actual full soundtrack when it comes out, which would be July 3rd. I wouldn't be surprised, man. Why wouldn't Pharrell respond? Hey, he's getting dissed at for no reason. So we'll keep our eyes posted. Now for this next story, man, Joe Rogan, you're a beast. Joe Rogan, you're a fucking beast, and you asked the right question. Thank you. This is why you're the biggest fucking podcaster in the world, because this is a question that I would have asked the real Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross. So, Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, ended up going on Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan, being the GOAT that he is, asked him, hey, why hasn't anybody confronted William Roberts, a.k.a. the fake Rick Ross, about stealing your identity? And why are rappers working with this guy? Now, you can see how much I was cheesing when I was watching this, because, hey, it's the facts. Why the fuck are people... Why, when William Roberts got exposed for being a cop, a literal cop, correctional officer, did rappers still fuck with him? Because you got 6ix9ine snitching and everybody just all of a sudden stops fuck with him. But you got William Roberts every day cuffing him, and everybody cool with it. So I'm going to see if I can play this clip for you guys, because it might get copyrighted. So if it's not in the podcast, you know why. If it is, you know, it's all good. But I'm going to play the clip for you guys. Basically, Joe Rogan asks him, hey, why hasn't anybody confronted Rick Ross about this, the rapper one? It's wild that he stole your identity and stuff. So I'm going to play it. Let's play it.
Have you ever seen anybody confront Rick Ross about you?
Not in person, no. Anytime I'm around, he disappears.
But is there any video of anybody hey, why are you running around with this dude's name when this dude's out of jail now?
Well, you know, these guys, they kind of like we talked about, when you got some money, they don't care if you beating women or making them lick tampons. You know, everybody fuck with you.
Right.
So, you know, he was on top of the world at one time.
He was a corrections officer.
Yeah, but he was. But when he got some money, they forgot about he was a correctional officer. You got gangsters, you know, doing records with him, and you know, people who say, "Oh, I hate snitches" and all this, but they doing records with a police officer who put handcuffs. You know, I got letters from guys that was in jail with him when he was a correctional officer, and they told me what a shitty guy he was. You know, that they would be shooting dice. He would take the dice and all the money, and they got extra soup. He'd take the soups, and
wow.
And you know, just stuff that normal officers just don't. You know, officers. I mean, everybody in jail got extra soups. You know, you save your soups because it might come a time and you ain't got them, so you stack your stuff up. But most officers don't even care. You know, who cares about the extra soup? We trying to get the dope dealers and, you know, the guys with the knives, but then you got those ones, and they're like, oh, well, you got an extra pair of underwear. You going to the hole.
Really? And that's how he was?
That's how he was. They say that's the kind of cop he was. And then when I hear that he's the biggest gangster rapper on the planet, it's like...
It's just so crazy. What is it like having a dude running around out there with your name? Like, if there was a rapper out there named Joe Rogan, I'd be like, what the fuck?
It's crazy. You know, like, how would you take my name and not have the decency to ask me first of all? You should have asked. But then never pay homage. You know, he won't even admit that he stole the name. He tells people that he invented the name. Like, how the fuck do you invent this name?
Well, it's so crazy because the name was famous. Your name was famous. Everybody knew who you were. When the case came out and when the connection to the Iran-Contra affair came out, when everybody found out what was going on, like, you were a legend.
Yeah, you throw a few $1 million, you know, toward Instagram and Facebook and you know, the radio station, and everybody forget about that, you know? And you put a little gold chain on, and you drive
nuts.
A Rolls Royce and a couple of pretty girls.
It's one thing if his name was Rick Ross. It's possible there could be another Rick Ross out there. I've met other Joe Rogans. That's real.
Yeah, me too. I met other Rick Rosses.
But what the fuck, man? The guy knows who you are. Everybody knows who you are. Takes your name.
So I don't know how much of the clip I was able to play, probably because of copyright, because Joe Rogan is a huge platform. And, you know, when you play clips, you get copyrighted. So who knows? I'm just going to break down basically most of what they said. And basically, hey, and it's funny because the way Joe Rogan responds, he's like, what the fuck? Like, how can someone take someone's whole identity, persona, lifestyle, and become a multimillionaire off it? This is the same response I have. I'm shocked. And all the real Rick Ross says, Freeway Rick Ross, all he said was, hey, you didn't have to give me props. You didn't even have to, nothing. You didn't even have to talk to me. You could have at least told the public, hey, I got this name from the drug dealer Rick Ross in Cali. That's it. You didn't have to say, hey, I fuck with him. Hey, I respect him. None of that. Just say, hey, this is why I got a problem with William Roberts, because when he got exposed for being a correctional officer, he denied it for years. Years denied it. And then finally was like, yeah, that was me. And then said, nah, I didn't stay there long. I only stayed there for about a week, and I got fired because I wasn't a good correctional officer. Then paperwork comes out denying that, saying that, hey, this guy was a perfect correctional officer, was there for 2 years and got a perfect attendance award. So what does that tell you, man? This guy just lies throughout everything and builds this fake persona that he is. And it's unfortunate because the real Rick Ross had to suffer. You know what he said? He said, listen, when he went to court to sue Rick Ross for using his name and building his lifestyle from his name. Ultimately, the real Rick Ross lost because the statute of limitations on stealing someone's personality identity expires in 2 years. Unfortunately, the real Rick Ross was locked up, so he couldn't do it within that 2-year window. Ultimately lost. But here's the interesting thing, too. When the lawsuit started in 2010, what was Rick Ross calling himself around that time? He started calling himself Rose. He started changing the marketing strategy up. Instead of calling him Rick Ross, because he knew if he would have lost this lawsuit, he couldn't use the name Rick Ross. He'd have to switch it to Rose. Ricky Rose, probably. That would probably have been the new rapper name, Ricky Rose. But they ended up spending $1.5 million to win it. Instead, Freeway Rick Ross was like, listen, my mom was facing eviction. I needed just $220,000. That's it. He was like, if Rick Ross would have just paid me $220,000, he could have took the name, done whatever the fuck he would have done with that. I would have showed respect. And here's the thing. That would have gave Rick Ross so much more respect in hip-hop if the real Rick Ross came out and said, I fuck with him. Yeah, he a real one. I fuck with him. That correctional officer shit, yeah, he was a correctional officer because he was moving drugs for people. I know that. He could have said that. Everybody would have ran with it and been like, yo, I would have wiped out all his correctional officer shit. It would have solidified his name in the streets. It would have done everything perfect. And all that would have costed him was $220,000. Instead, he is a person that doesn't move with integrity. Because if that was me, because Rick Ross was betted. Here's why Rick Ross took the name from the real Rick Ross, right? He bet on the real Rick Ross being locked up for the rest of his life because he got a life sentence. But the real Rick Ross ended up, learning that they caught him. I hope I'm wording this correctly. They caught him, like when you get arrested, when you get 3 strikes, you're out. That's like kind of the law in these drug cases. They used all those 3 strikes on one case, which can't be done. And he found that out, and that's how he got out of prison eventually. Because had he not found that out, he'd have been locked up for the rest of his life. So that's what William Roberts, the fake Rick Ross, was betting on. That, hey, this guy got locked up for the rest of his life. I'm good. I can take his name. Nothing's going to happen to me. But then he gets out, and he's like, oh, shit. The real one's out. Oh, shit. Do I show him love and admit that I took his name, or do I pretend like I never did and I got the name myself? He took the route of pretending I never did. I got the name myself. Which is stupid, man. I would have been like, yo, check this out. Your mom's getting evicted. I'll give you, shit, I would have been like, I'll give you $300,000. But, you pay your mom's house off and you get $80,000 in your pocket. Right? Just to say the lowest amount. I actually would have given him probably $500,000. Just because I've been like, listen, man, listen, if you can do this for me, and I would have been like, co-sign me. Put it out there that, hey, just because I'm a correctional officer, I was a dirty cop. Put it out there that I was, because they would have took the real Rick Ross's word on that 100%. I would have took it. I would have never known behind the scenes stuff. Nobody probably would have ever knew. And he could have co-signed Rick Ross, and that would have made 50 Cent look horrible, because they would have been like, yo, the real Rick Ross came out and solidified everything, stamped everything. Instead, he took the route of being a sucker. And it's unfortunate nobody's ever asked him about stealing someone's whole identity. He came up with this whole story. But here's the beautiful thing. I'm going to be working on a documentary, and I'm going to be going over all this. Rick Ross versus Rick Ross. It's going to go over the story of the real Rick Ross and the story of the rapper Rick Ross. And it's going to see how their lives intertwined. And you're going to see that this guy literally just stole this guy's whole identity. I'm going to go over all of the real Rick Ross's story, what he's done and gone through, versus what the rapper raps about. And you're going to see it's all identical. Yeah, it's going to be a great documentary. That's going to be the next one I'm working on. I'm working right now on the Diddy $1 million hit. Then I'm going to do Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Then I'm going to do this Rick Ross one. I think that's probably going to be the biggest one. And I'm going to see if I can actually reach out to the real Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, and see if he can give me, because in this interview, he says the rapper Rick Ross, the fake one, was a garbage correctional officer that would steal soups from people that wouldn't let him play dice games. And he says he's got letters from people when they were locked up dealing with that. So if he can give me those letters for that documentary and I put it on there, even better. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to use my resources to get him to do that, to send it to me. I'll try paying him whatever I can afford to pay him to get those documents, and I will release that documentary. I think it will be one of my greatest pieces of works ever. And I will love doing it. Just because, hey, man, I don't like people who do, like, he's been done, the real Rick Ross has been done dirty by a lot of people, by the way. Not just Rick Ross, the rapper, but what's his name? I think it's John Singleton. He made the series Snowfall. It's based on the real Rick Ross's life, and he never paid him a dime for it. There's a documentary made about the real Rick Ross's life. He got chipped out of that, screwed out of that. So he's been done dirty by a lot of people, man. And I would love to make this documentary, not only to get him paid whatever I can afford to pay, which is not a lot, but just to give him more respect in what he's done. But yeah, I would love to get the rapper Rick Ross in the documentary, just to tell his side of the story. I would love to get both sides of the story wholeheartedly. Just see, maybe, there's slim chances because he's been proven he's lied a lot, but maybe he is telling the truth. Maybe he has some proof of a kid that called him Rick Ross when he was a kid, and that's why he ran with the name. I don't know. We don't know. But all I know is this was interesting. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Great questions. And the way Joe Rogan reacted was just even more hilarious because that's my reaction. It's like, holy fuck. How is there a guy who's a rapper who pretends to be as big as drug dealer, steal someone's whole identity, and become big off of that? Why weren't rappers literally 6ix9ine snitched and everybody attacked him, blackballed him? But Rick Ross comes out, he's a correctional officer, he's this and that, and everybody's cool with it. It's like, come on. The difference in that was just astronomical. But that's just all that is money. That's he even explained here. It's about putting fake chains on and pretending and having the backing of labels, having the backing of Jay-Z, who signed Rick Ross at Def Jam at the time, having the backing of Diddy, who was co-signing him, saying he's the next Biggie. All that backing is what made Rick Ross become this big hot rapper at the time, which we went all over the streams. He wasn't that hot of a rapper. Yeah, he had records that were buzzing, but like himself, he wasn't that big of a rapper compared to other ones. But yeah, interesting interview, interesting clip, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because it was insane to hear it on the Joe Rogan podcast. Before we continue, I want to give a shout out to Golden Eagle for sponsoring this podcast. Yes, if it wasn't for Golden Eagle, this podcast wouldn't be possible. If you're looking for an energy drink that doesn't tear a hole in your pocket, Golden Eagle energy drink is the one you want to get. Golden Eagle has the smoothest taste with no aftertaste. You don't get acid reflux when you drink it, and you will save a lot of money. So check out Golden Eagle at drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. The link is in the description below. And how do you think this podcast would be possible without me having energy to do it? Come on, guys. You guys got to remember this. I need energy to do this stuff, man, because there's a lot of crazy topics. So look how smooth this thing sounds. Look at it. Oh, my God. It's fresh. Look at that Golden Eagle. Look at the can. It's so beautiful, too, man. Look at that. It's so fresh, man. So fresh. Golden Eagle energy drink. Go to the link description below. That's drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. Let's continue the episode. And we are at the final track when it comes to this Drake versus Kendrick Lamar battle that happened. And the final track is released from Drake, and it is titled The Heart Part 6. So let's go over the artwork, the title, and let's break it down bar for bar. As for the title, The Heart Part 6 comes from a play on Kendrick Lamar's series that he has titled The Heart. He has 1 through 5, and Drake decided to take Part 6. The reason why he did this is because Kendrick Lamar took a series that Drake has where he has different time zones in different areas. The tracks that he has, like 9 a.m. in Dallas and 6 p.m. in Charlotte, those type of tracks that Drake does. Well, Kendrick Lamar took it by doing 616 in L.A. So Drake paid back the favor by taking Kendrick Lamar's theme titled tracks that he has with The Heart. As for the artwork, it's fairly simple. It is a comment from Dave Free on Instagram. Dave Free is one of the record producers on PG Lang, the label, and he's also pretty much a co-owner of PG Lang with Kendrick Lamar. And in the artwork, it shows a comment made from him on Instagram, and it was liked by the author. And this comment was under Kendrick Lamar's fiance's posts on Instagram. So she has a bunch of photos of herself and photos with herself and her kids, and under the comments, is Dave Free with the heart, the black heart emoji and the heart hands. And she ended up liking the comment. So this artwork plays on the whole thing that Drake said in Family Matters, that Dave Free is the father of the kids and not Kendrick Lamar. So he's extending that play on that he had on Family Matters with the Heart Part 6. And throughout this track in the Heart Part 6, he basically addresses everything Kendrick Lamar said to him and denies everything. And then it says, hey, you haven't proved that you didn't do those things. But that's essentially what the artwork is, just an Instagram comment from Dave Free under Kendrick Lamar's fiance's posts on Instagram. Now let's get into the bars. It starts out with the intro with Aretha Franklin saying, now let me see you prove it, just let me see you prove it, which samples Aretha Franklin's Prove It track. And the reason why Drake started out this track like this is because throughout this whole track, Drake challenges all the accusations that Kendrick Lamar made against him, from the pedophile things to the OVO crew members having a bunch of issues as well, to the snitching allegations, and so on and so forth. Everything that Kendrick Lamar basically said about his family, about him, about, what he's done, he challenges in this song and then throws it back in Kendrick Lamar's face and says, you haven't denied anything that I've accused you of. So you've probably done it because you didn't deny it. So that's why it started out with that intro. Now let's get into the verse. He starts out saying the Pulitzer Prize winner is definitely spiraling. I got your fucking lines tapped. I'm swear that I'm dialed in. The first line is just a spin on what Kendrick Lamar said in Euphoria. He said the famous actor we once knew is looking paranoid and now is spiraling. Spiraling, basically, hey, you're losing control of everything that's going on and you're losing your mind in this situation and in this battle. Then he says, I got your fucking lines tapped. I swear that I'm dialed in. This is flipping what Kendrick Lamar said in 616 in LA. Because in that track, he basically says, hey, you have a mole in your camp. Somebody's not trustworthy in your camp in OVO. And they're feeding me all this information. Drake is saying, I got those phone conversations tapped, that I know what's going on. And then throughout this track, he basically says, I fed you that fake information about the daughter, about the drugs, the artwork on Meet the Grams with all the drugs and, the T-shirt, the Maybach glove, all that. He basically sets it up saying, hey, I tapped in with the phone call. I knew, all this was going on. That's why he says, I swear that I'm dialed in. Then he addresses the snitching allegations that Kendrick Lamar made on Euphoria, where he said, I got some information that'll make Gunna wanna look like a saint. And in those bars, he was talking about, Gunna was accused of being a rat, but he was saying, listen, what Gunna did is nothing compared to what Drake did. And we're referring to the moment that he got robbed back in 2009 for his chain and stuff like that. And there are reports that, he filed a police report and snitched. And that was initially reported by a rapper in Toronto, Big Page. He had a track with Drake called I'm Still Fly. And they ended up having a fallout. And, he ended up revealing that information that he got robbed and that Drake allegedly snitched. So Drake addresses those accusations. He says, first, I was a rat, so where's the proof of the trial then? Where's the paperwork or the cabinet it's filed in? 1090 Jake would have took all the walls down. The streets would have had me hiding out in a small town. So he's saying, hey, where's these paperwork? Where's, this stuff that I actually went to trial and that actually pointed the finger at somebody? When people snitch, they go to trial, they address people by their names, they point them out in court. He's saying that never happened. There's nothing that's going on. And then he refers to 1090 Jake, who is a content creator that actually exposes snitches in the music industry. And he's known for doing that. So he's saying, if I would have done that, 1090 Jake would have already, took all the walls down. He would have exposed me a long time ago and would have destroyed everything that I've built. And that nobody would have rocked with me anymore. And I would have to go hide out somewhere and never show my face again. But he's saying that never happened. There's no proof of it at all. You're just talking, just to talk. Drake continues and says, my Montreal connects, stand up, now fall down. This is Drake just exerting his power, saying that I have an army of people that are willing to ride and die for me here in Canada. And, they can stand up or just relax and fall down whenever I choose to. And he could be referring also to the fact that in Family Matters, he used a Hell's Angels person in the video. And Hell's Angels is a well-known biker gang that, has done a lot of things, crazy things, but they're also big in California. So not only in Canada, but also in Cali, they're really huge. So, he's just saying, hey, I got ties, I got mob ties, like I've always said, and I got a team of people willing to ride or die for me. Then Drake continues, says, the ones that you're getting your stories from, they're all clowns. Basically, saying, hey, the information that you're being fed has all been, they're jokes. They're dummies. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're clowns. And then he says, I am a war general seasoned in preparation. My jacket is covered in medals, honor, and decoration. Here, Drake is just flexing and saying that I've been in many rap battles. I know how these things are being played well. And I know what's going on, and I know how to move these puzzles. I've been in the Drake Meek thing, Pusha T, and a bunch of subliminals with a bunch of different artists. Common, Kanye West, whoever else Jay-Z's even went subliminally with here and there. But he's saying, listen, like a war general, somebody that's been through a lot. I know what I'm doing, and I know how to move the needle and, manipulate you in this whole thing. Then he continues and says, you waited for this moment, overcome with desperation. Here he's saying Kendrick Lamar has been consistently subliminally dissing him throughout all these years. And Drake even said that he heard that Kendrick Lamar had a diss track ready to go back in like 2019. So here he's doubling down saying you waited this long time, but you're too desperate. You're too quick. You're too eager and willing to jump at anything. So this is where he sets it up that, hey, I fed you all this fake information and you were so eager to try and destroy me that you just fell for all this fake information. Then this is where he breaks down. He says, we plotted for a week and then we fed you the information. A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or a destination, but you so thirsty, you not concerned with investigation. So this is where he addresses Meet the Grams. He says, we set this whole play out. We've been thinking about it for over a week. We set it up that, hey, I have this fake daughter. It's 11 years old. And he knew that he would jump on it because Pusha T obviously revealing, Drake's son was a huge thing. And that's basically how, in Drake's eyes, Pusha T won with the story of Adidon. So he says, maybe if I set that up for Kendrick, he falls for it. And then I flip it on him, say it's fake. You're a moron. You don't know what you're talking about. And then he said, we thought about giving a fake name or a destination. Basically to set it up to make it look more legit so that Kendrick Lamar would fall for it. But you so thirsty, not concerned with investigation. So here, like he said earlier, with overcome with desperation, that he was so eager to jump at it that he didn't even fact check if it's real or not. Then Drake says, instead, you in that Venice studio, it's a celebration. You got to learn to fact check things and be less impatient. Your fans are rejoicing, thinking it's my expiration. Drake is saying, when I set up this information of this daughter, you got so excited that you never even fact check if it was real or not. You were just in the studio celebrating, and then once you dropped the Meet the Grams, all your fans were going crazy and saying, oh, he got Drake, it's over. But you didn't even fact check to see if it was real or not. Then he says, even the picture you used, the jokes and the medication, the Maybach glove and the drug he used is for less inflation. Master manipulator, you bit on the speculation. You dumb and reactive. I'm petty with dedication. So there you go. Once again, saying, the Meet the Grams artwork, which I broke down on the bar for bar breakdown. If you will go watch that video, you haven't seen it. The photo is Maybach glove, which Drake is saying is a joke with Rick Ross because Rick Ross was dissing him as well. The big T-shirt, which I think people were speculating was Drake's dad's, and then Drake had it at one point, whatever. And then the drugs, there's obviously the Ozempic at the bottom right is, has Aubrey Graham, his name on there. And the drugs, he had Adderall and he had another drug that helps him sleep. I forget what it was called. But those were the pills and then the jewelry receipt and stuff. He's saying basically I set all that up for you, to post and pretend like you know what you're talking about, but you don't. And then he says this, what about the bones we dug up in that excavation? And why isn't Whitney denying all the allegations? Why is she following Dave Free and not Mr. Morale? So now he goes to Kendrick's side and says, why don't you address the things that I'm mentioning? He says, what about the bones we dug up in that excavation? Now, there is a photo of Kendrick, his wife, and I don't know, a few other people. I don't know if Dave Free is in the photo, but they went bone hunting. Not really bone hunting, but it's like one of those trips that you go on to go see caves and stuff. So he flips it and mentions that part of it. And then he says, why isn't Whitney denying all the allegations? Here he's talking about why hasn't your wife come out and been, and spoke out and been like, Kendrick has never done these things. But Kendrick and his wife probably don't feel to address these things because Kendrick has already addressed these things early on in the Breakfast Club interview that he did. I believe I want to say in 2013, 2014. They asked him about, the whole hotel incident that was reported, and he denied it. He said, hey, it never happened. And Kendrick in the actual tracks has denied these things, basically saying you're trying to flip my story. So he has denied them, just not like directly word for word like Drake does. And then Drake questions why Kendrick's wife isn't following Kendrick Lamar and actually following Dave Free instead. Usually, husband and wife follow each other on social media, but she's not following him at all. But then again, Kendrick Lamar is not big on social media. He never posts on there. It's never a thing that he uses. So I doubt he cares or she cares. Dave Free is more active. So kind of makes more sense. But that's what Drake's take is, that like, hey, you guys are husband and wife here. Why aren't you guys following each other? That's weird. Only Dave Free's getting the love. Then Drake doubles down on Kendrick Lamar being a deadbeat, which is something that Kendrick Lamar accused Drake of when it comes to his son, as well as Pusha T a while ago. He says this: "You haven't seen the kids in 6 months. The distance is wild." And here he's talking about Kendrick Lamar moving to New York and his wife staying in LA. But if you look at the Instagram photos, she looks like she's in the penthouse in New York with Kendrick Lamar as well. So that distance thing, I don't know how accurate it is, but he's saying you guys separated. You guys created a distance because you don't really love her like that, or the kids. Then he doubles down on that and says, Dave leaving heart emojis underneath pics of the child, where he talks about in Family Matters how Dave Free is the father of the kids, allegedly, and that, he's not, Kendrick Lamar isn't really the father of the kids. She doesn't follow him on Instagram. He never leaves comments under the pics. But, like as I said earlier, Kendrick Lamar isn't really active on social media. Drake is a lot more active. So Drake views it in a different way. And it's interesting, when you talk to people that are more active on social media versus the ones that aren't, the ones that are more active on social media, they take most social media more seriously when it comes to interactions and stuff. But the people that really aren't on there don't really care, because they prefer to have the interactions in person more than on social media for the public. And that's the kind of route Kendrick is. He's not really on social media, doesn't care to give public, gratitude, so that the public can kind of judge. He does it more than likely in private. Then Drake talks about the accusations against him that Kendrick Lamar made on Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, of Drake liking children, girls that are, obviously underage. He says this: "Speaking of anything with a child, let's get to that now. This Epstein angle was the shit I expected. TikTok videos you collected and dissected. Instead of being on some direct shit, you rather fucking grab your pen and misdirect shit." Here, Drake ties himself to Jeffrey Epstein, which Kendrick Lamar never did in any of his songs. He did mention Harvey Weinstein, but Harvey Weinstein had different charges versus Jeffrey Epstein. Harvey's was bad, but Jeffrey Epstein was like a whole level. He had his own island where he was sex trafficking kids and stuff like that. So he says, you're trying to paint me as this Jeffrey Epstein person, and I never did that. And I knew you were going to take that angle because of the photos that I have with girls that are young, and, the rumor of him going on a date with Millie Bobby Brown, who was underage at that time, and things like that. And he's just basically saying, I expected this. You were going to take this angle. And then he talks about the TikTok videos. There was a video on TikTok of a girl explaining that Drake has a fake Tinder page that he uses to get women to come to his house, and, does all kinds of things with those women. That's what she was alluding to in the video. But there's never been proof of this stuff. It's all smoke so far. Some things look a little weird, obviously, but there's no direct proof that Drake has done any of these things. And he doubles down on the fact that there's no direct proof by saying, instead of on some direct shit, meaning you don't diss me directly on facts, you rather grab your pen and write some, fake stuff, misdirect shit that aren't even real. Then he says this: "My mom came over today and I was like, mother, wait a second. That's that one record where you say you got molested. Oh, fuck me, I just made the whole connection." What he's talking about here is the track on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers titled Mother I Sober. In the track, he talks about traumas his family has experienced, including someone in his family getting molested. And in the track, he says that, hey, his cousin got accused of molesting him, but he said that, hey, I never got molested. And his mother doesn't believe him because of the traumas that his mother has, that, even when he said, hey, I didn't get molested, I'm all good, nothing happened to me, they still didn't believe him. And the bars in the track, he says, "Family ties, they accused my cousin. Did he touch you, Kendrick? Never lied, but no one believed me when I said he didn't. And in the song, Drake is flipping it, saying that Kendrick actually did get touched, and that's why he's projecting all the trauma onto Drake, that he's a pedophile, he's this and that, because he's the one that got touched himself. And that's usually what people do that have experienced trauma. They end up projecting it on others. If you actually look at the statistics, most people that get molested, they end up doing it to someone else because that's just the trauma that they've gone through. Is it excusable? Hell no. There's been a lot of people that have been molested and never did it to anybody else because they know how much trauma it causes. But that is a cycle of things. So Drake here is saying, you know, because you got molested, you lied in that track. You actually did get molested. You're projected onto me that I do those things when I've never done those things. Then he says, this about to get so depressing. This is trauma from your own confessions. This when your father leave you alone with no protection. So neglected. That's why these pedophile raps and shit you so obsessed with. It's so excessive. Then Drake says they acting like it's so aggressive, but you just never known affection. I don't want to diss you anymore. This really got me second guessing. So here Drake is feeding more into the narrative that Kendrick Lamar lied on that Mother I Sober song and that he actually got molested. So Drake now is kind of reflecting, saying, I feel bad for dissing you because you went through all this trauma in your life and you're pushing it all on me because of all this trauma you went through. Now I feel bad. Like, why am I attacking this guy who's been through so much stuff in his life? I feel really bad for doing it. And that's basically what he's saying in these lines. Then he says, Touch My Body by Mariah Carey, play, you probably start reflecting. Which was a clever line. I ain't gonna lie. That was funny hearing that. Then he says, I never been with no one underage, but now I understand why this is the angle that you really mess with. Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for this shit you just suggested. The last two lines where he's talking about, you know, if I was actually doing this, I would have been arrested. I'm too famous to be doing this type of stuff, was a weird explanation because you can use so many examples of people being famous and getting away with this stuff for years and years. I mean, we got a case with Diddy right now that's going on. He's been doing stuff like this for the past 30 years. And now finally he's getting some type of punishment for all the things that he's done. And hopefully he gets arrested and, you know, all that stuff happens. But, you know, there's Bill Cosby, there's R. Kelly, there's Harvey Weinstein, these people that have been popular, famous, rich, and still did these things. There's a lot of famous and rich people. Hell, Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire. You know, he might not have been as famous, but he was really, really rich. So that angle never sat right with people with that type of response to it because it just doesn't make sense. Saying that I'm too famous for this to happen, you know, it is what it is. But that's what Drake says. And then he says, but that's not the lesson. Clearly, there's a deeper message. Deep cuts that never healed, and now they got infected. So doubling down that, you know, from Drake's perspective, Kendrick actually got abused. And that's why he's accusing Drake of being an abuser because, you know, he's reflecting all the trauma he's been through. And, you know, those wounds never healed. They got infected even worse. And that's why he's taking it out on Drake. Then he goes back to Dave Free and says this, like if Dave really fucked your girl and got her pregnant, talk about breeding resentment. I'm not sure how to ease the sentiment. That shit's too intimate. I'm praying you recover from both incidents. Drake doubling down again that Dave is potentially the father of one of Kendrick's kids. And that's why Kendrick has a bad relationship with his wife and potentially has a bad relationship with Dave Free because he's been breeding this resentment. And it's a good play on words because breeding is obviously, you know, having a child with somebody, that's breeding. But also breeding resentment is, you know, having something grow in you, having resentment for people because of things that happen. And that's trauma. And that's why Drake is saying, hey, Kendrick, you're not close to your wife because of these things. Then Drake says, but you a piece of shit. So this really no coincidence. Drake is not a name that you gonna see on no sex offender list. Easy does it. The bars are pretty self-explanatory. Usually if somebody's a sex offender, you can look up their name on the sex offender registry online. And Drake is saying you're never going to find Aubrey Graham or Drake or any of those names on a sex offender list. And then he ends it off with Easy Does It. This is where I was like, you know, why did he say it the way that he said it? Well, on the track Like That, they sample Eazy's track Easy Does It. And here he could be potentially saying that Eazy-E was on the sex offender list. And Dr. Dre accused Eazy of being a pedophile as well, with their beef. But, he's saying that I'm nothing related like Eazy-E is. I'm getting accused of that, but I'm not like Eazy. He was that. So he's taking shots at Eazy in the West Coast as well, which is kind of crazy. Then he says, you mentioning a minor, but guys got to be sharp and tell the fans who was it. So here Drake flips what Kendrick said on Not Like Us with a minor, which is a musical note that you can play. But then he flips it with a different musical note, which is a B sharp. And that's actually a musical note. In these lines, when Drake mentioned the B sharp part, people were saying that B sharp doesn't exist in music, but it did a really long time ago. Now it's switched to C. But back then, the B note was something that was used. It was B sharp. And it's a good play on words, man. He's just telling people be sharp about this situation and actually use your head, that I don't, associate with minors. And then he was asking him, hey, who was it? Who was the person that I associated with that was a minor? But, it's a good flip. I think a lot of people clown Drake saying that it didn't exist. But if you look at musical history, it did exist. So let me explain what this is without getting too technical and, kind of into insane theory. So B sharp exists when the music is spelled in a different way, which is anahyramic spelling in music theory. Depending on what key you are in, you may come across a B sharp. Now, in the normal modern day keys, when you're playing music, the B sharp isn't there. It's a C note. So people were saying, hey, when Drake was saying B sharp, makes no damn sense. Why is he saying that? That's a note that doesn't exist when playing music. But it does exist. It's just, think of it as like a different language of music. There are certain ways when you learn music, there's different notes in different languages. Not vastly different, but different things, spell out different things, just like in different languages. When you say certain things mean certain different things in other cultures. So that's basically what it is with music. So when people were clowning Drake on this situation, I think people didn't really look deep into it. I think the people that read music in modern terms said that, hey, this is a note that doesn't exist. But when you go in the history of it, it does exist. So that was a great line, great flip. And then he says, you thought you left D flat, D major. Here Drake is referring to himself, saying and he's still playing on music notes. That's the thing. He's saying, you thought you left D flat, meaning Drake, you thought you finished me, Drake. But I'm still major. I'm still out here. I'm D major, which is another musical note. This D major thing can also be used as a wordplay of saying, hey, I'm the one that made you. I brought you on my first tour with Club Paradise. If it wasn't for that, you would have never got as big as you are today. Continuing on, he says, I'll slit your throat with the razor and do Rick Ross air like that one flight from Malaysia. Here he sent some shots at Rick Ross, and Rick Ross's jet actually ended up having an emergency, crash on the ground. Nothing major, like really, really high up in the ground, but he landed, and the plane landed in a bunch of grass, and it was kind of bad looking. And anything in a flight is dangerous when you're not landing properly. So here he's saying, like the flight that went missing in Malaysia that disappeared in the middle of nowhere. He's saying that's going to happen to Rick Ross. I'll do him like that. Then he says, I'm your baby mama's screensaver. Pretty self-explanatory screensaver, having a baby mama. Only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I never look twice at no teenager. So here he addresses all the rumors of him dating Millie Bobby Brown. And it kind of got exploded more when Millie Bobby Brown did interviews about Drake and said that Drake would text him and, she loves him. And the way she would kind of explain the Drake relationship, people were looking at it with a side eye because somebody that old in their 30s texting, a 14, 15-year-old can be looked at in a weird way. So he's saying, hey, I'm only fucking with your wife. I'm not fucking with the Millie Bobby Browns at all. Not even looking twice at them because they're teenagers.
What about your relationship with Drake? Tell me about your friendship. How did this all come about?
I love him. I met him in Australia, and he's honestly so fantastic and a great friend and a great role model. We just text each other the other day, and he was like, I miss you so much. I was like, I miss you more. He's coming to Atlanta, so I'm definitely going to go and see him. I'm so excited, yeah.
You and Drake? That's awesome. That's awesome.
What advice does he give you? Like, what does he say?
About boys. He helps me.
What?
Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
What's his advice with boys?
That stays in the text messages.
And then he says, I'm a fucking hitmaker, dog, not a peacemaker. Doubling down the fact that all he does is make hits. I don't care about, making peace with you because doesn't matter to me. Then he says, yeah, bullets that I'm stuffing in each chamber, your ass in extreme danger. Loading the clip, going in on him. That's what he's basically saying. Then he says, stop buying views and bot comments. You might as well keep the paper. Shit, you about to need it for later. I give a fuck about your streaming data. Here, Drake is accusing Kendrick Lamar of buying bots on social media to sway the narrative that Kendrick Lamar is winning in the battle, which is something that Kendrick accused him of as well. So he's flipping and saying, you're the one that's doing that, not me. And then he says, I don't give a fuck about your streaming data, which is funny because on the push-ups track, Drake said, you're never fucking catching up. I'm out of here doing all these shows. I'm out of here. Money-wise, I'm out of here. Hits, I'm out of here. So to say that now I don't care about streaming, the fact that Not Like Us is doing insane numbers and went number one, you don't care about it. It's like, it kind of didn't make sense. And this is why Drake got a lot of backlash for this diss track because, and on certain songs he was saying this and then he just switches and says, nah, now I don't care. Now that you got number ones, I don't care. That has nothing to do with this battle. Then he says you could drop 100 more records. I'll see you later. This is where essentially Drake bows out of the battle and says, I want nothing to do with this. Then he says, yeah, maybe when you meet your maker. Here he's saying this battle's going to last forever. And when we both die and we meet our makers, that's probably when we're finally going to run into each other because this is never going to end. Then he says, I don't want to fight with a woman beater. It feeds your nature. Once again, saying that, hey, Kendrick is a woman beater. He puts his hands on Whitney, and he says this throughout Family Matters and all the diss tracks. And with It Feeds Your Nature, usually, the more you get somebody who puts their hands on people aggressive, the more they feed into being more aggressive. So that's what he's saying. He's saying, I don't want to make you so aggressive that you start putting more hands on your wife, Whitney. Then he says, if you still bumping R. Kelly, you could thank the Savior. Said, if they deleted his music, then your music is going to a hypocrite. In these lines, he's talking about the time when basically R. Kelly, the documentary came out of R. Kelly that was called, Surviving R. Kelly, and then everybody kind of attacked R. Kelly. And there was this discussion around, can you separate the person with the artist? Can you still listen to the artist's music despite them being a bad person? And a lot of people were mixed emotions on that, saying, I can still listen to the music. I'm not going to associate it with the person, and I cannot support the person. But, if you stream R. Kelly's music, you're giving R. Kelly money by doing it. So you're technically still supporting the person. So there was a whole discussion about this, and Spotify ended up announcing a thing called Hate Content and Hateful Conduct Policy in 2018, where the policy stated that the platform may remove hateful music and that when an artist or creator does something that is especially harmful or hateful, it may affect the ways they are worked with or supported. And they basically specifically targeted XXXTentacion and R. Kelly. And XXXTentacion had a history of abuse and stuff like that as well. Now, when this came out, they received an astronomical amount of backlash because people were like, why are you specifically choosing those two artists when a lot of our artists in other genres and cultures did a lot worse and their music is not getting removed? And then Top Dog, the CEO of obviously Top Dog Entertainment, spoke with Billboard and said this: I had a conversation with Spotify and I expressed that I don't think it's right for artists to be censored, especially in our culture. How come they didn't pick out any other artists from any other genres or cultures? There are so many other artists with different things going on, and they could have picked anybody, but it seems that they've constantly been picking on hip-hop culture. My whole thing with them was, we got to fix the situation, and if it can't be fixed, then there's going to be a real problem. We're going to have to start pulling our music from the site. Now, with this statement, everybody tied it to Kendrick Lamar wanting to pull his music. Because anything Top Dog says, Top Dog Entertainment in 2018 was mainly Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, you had Schoolboy Q, you had SZA just started to pop off, J-Rock and everybody else, but mainly Kendrick Lamar is the star in that label, right? So when he said this, the headlines were, hey, Kendrick Lamar, confirms, Kendrick Lamar's head confirms, label head confirms that he's threatening to remove music from Spotify and stuff like that. But Kendrick never said anything directly about this. It was Top Dog. But Drake flips it and says he actually did say something about this, and he was defending R. Kelly, which is weird. Why would you defend somebody like that? But that's not the conversation that was basically had But Drake is flipping and make it seem like Kendrick is defending R. Kelly and not defending the fact that, hey, we should have free speech and we should have a fair treatment. Basically, all Top Dog is saying, hey, if you're going to do this to hip-hop, do it to every other genre. That's basically what the conversation was, but Drake flipped it and made it seem like it was worse. Then Drake says, I don't understand why these people praise you, sounding like you send him commissary when he needs some paper. Here he doubles down that Kendrick, why is he getting this praise? Why is he getting this, like, savior moment when this guy's supporting R. Kelly, and he's probably sending him money in his commissary. When you're locked up, you have this thing called commissary, and people can send you money to buy things while you're locked up. So here he's accusing Kendrick Lamar of doing that for R. Kelly, supporting him and sending him commissary. Then he says, album dropping soon. No wonder you turn to a clout chaser instead of doing hard labor. So here he's saying that Kendrick Lamar started this battle just to promote himself to put out his album. And, there's been rumors that Kendrick is gearing up to drop an album, but we'll see. Then he says, I'll see you when I see you, like Fantasia. And here he's referring to a song that Fantasia had back in 2007 called When I See You. He's saying, whenever I see you, I'll see you. And then he says, and Whitney, you can hit me if you need a favor. And when I say I hit you back, it's a lot safer. I promise. In these last lines, he's obviously mentioning Kendrick Lamar's wife and saying, if you need anything, I'm here for you. If you get abused by this guy, I'm here for you. Just call me. And if you do hit me and I hit you back on the line, he's saying, don't worry about it. I'm not putting my hands on you. I'm not going to actually hit you like your husband does. Then Drake has an outro on the track, and he's basically talking and just says, hey, this battle's not worth battling you over because you're not even spitting facts. You're just spewing out random things, and it's gotten boring. So Drake said this, yeah, I'm not going to lie. This shit was some good exercise. Like, it's good to get out and get the pen working. So here he's saying, it was fun to, like, write a couple bars with you and go back and forth. But, that's about it. And then he says, you would be a worthy competitor if I was really a predator. And you weren't fucking lying to every blogger and editor, but it is what it is. So here he's saying, why are you lying, man? It would be great. We would have had a great battle had you not spewed all these lies back and forth. I'm not a predator. When you get called a predator, you're basically preying, on your, victims. And that's what pedophiles get called, predators, because they prey on little kids and do bad things to them. Then he says, you definitely got this shit burnt the fuck out, though. Like, you got 10 more records to drop. The one before the last one, we'd finesse you into telling a story that doesn't even exist. And then you go and drop the West Coast one to try to cover that up. So here he's saying, the only reason Kendrick Lamar dropped so quickly back to back is because he got so much information wrong on Meet the Grams. He wanted to take eyes away from that and drop Not Like Us so everybody can just dance and forget the fact that he got information wrong on Meet the Grams. That's why Drake is saying he dropped so much music. And the funny thing in this, the irony at least, is when Drake dropped Push-Ups, he was saying drop, saying, and then he was in social media clowning him and saying, like my comment if Kendrick Lamar has nothing to drop. And now when Kendrick drops a lot of music, he's upset by that. So this is why this track got a lot of backlash because of that. Then Drake kind of gives props to Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us track and says, I would like that one. That would be some shit I could dance to if he wasn't tripling down on some old other bullshit. So he's saying, listen, I would have liked that record. It's actually a club banger. He actually admits that it's a great track, which is pretty cool of Drake to do. But he's like, I would have liked it if you actually spit facts on there. It would have been a great record, but you're just tripling down on fake lies of me being a pedophile. And then he says this, at least your fans are getting some raps out of you. I'm happy I could motivate you, bring you back to the game like but just let me know when we're getting to the facts. Everything in my shit is facts. I'm waiting on you to return the favor. Here he's saying, I got you out of retirement. It takes you 5 years to drop an album. You drop that album, you disappear again. I'm glad I got you to release some music. I'm sure your fans are elated and happy as hell. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be even rapping anymore like that. And that's facts. That I can agree to. Kendrick does take a while to drop music. He does disappear. This got everybody to drop a lot more music, even though Drake drops basically every year. Drake even dropped a lot of tracks. Kendrick dropped a lot. I mean, he dropped 5 tracks actually within, a 1 month time frame, which is the most we've ever gotten from Kendrick in a long time. So shout out to Drake for that. I agree with that part. And then he says, everything in my shit is facts. I'm waiting on you to return the favor. So here he's saying everything that I've accused you of, from being a woman beater to Dave Free, being the father of one of your kids, to you not proposing to your wife, to you cheating, all this stuff, it's all factual information. What you said about me is all just rumors and lies. But Drake really hasn't proved a lot of the stuff he's accused Kendrick of. But think about it. I mean, if you go in the history of hip-hop beefs, there have been a lot of accusations that haven't been proven, right? Like Dr. Dre calling Eazy-E a pedophile. Jay-Z talking about skeeting in the backseat and smashing Nas's baby mama. There's no proof of that. There's been a lot of things said about a lot of people, and there hasn't been solid proof. I think in diss tracks, there is a lot of fun rumors and things that you can say about somebody to clown them. And technically, you don't have to back it up with proof. But when you're making like insane accusations, I think there needs to be certain levels that you have to prove something. There needs to be some smoke there. And with what Kendrick was saying, there was smoke there when it comes to the young girls thing. There was some things that look weird, like the Millie Bobby Brown situation. So why wouldn't Kendrick Lamar jump on that and make it bigger than what it is? So, on that part, I kind of, when the battle first started for me, it was just about a gossip thing. Then I really sat back and thought, like, okay, diss tracks, they do sometimes not have factual information. They do it just to clown the other artists. Sometimes it doesn't have to be hard, solid facts. And I think social media kind of ruined this battle when you really look at it, because each side of the fan base went really hard to prove to the other fan base that the other one is lying. And when you really just take all the social media stuff out of it and just listen to the tracks, we got some great music out of both artists. So now that I'm finally done breaking down each track bar for bar, on the podcast, I will talk about the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar battle. I'm going to talk about who I think won, just go over each track and which track I think is better than the other and stuff like that. Finally, but yeah, done with each bar for bar breakdown. Let me know what you guys think of The Heart Part 6, and will we ever get more battles from Drake and Kendrick Lamar directly? We will get subliminals. I know that. That's not going to stop. Hell, Drake and Pusha T still send subliminals to each other. So we're still going to get subliminals, but direct battle, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Kendrick Lamar does in this June 19th show that he has. And yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Billboard Hot 100, let's get into the list. And man, it's exciting and disappointing at the same time, right? Number one was supposed to be Eminem's Houdini, but Post Malone and Morgan Wallen, I had some help maintain the number one spot. Eminem with Houdini debuted at number 2. Round of applause for Eminem, man. I don't know what more to say. This guy's been rapping now officially in his career. I don't want you guys commenting and saying, "Oh, Eminem came out and started rapping with Infinite in 1996 in the year 1996 and he's been rapping." I'm saying officially with a major album released 1999 till 2024. 25 years he's been rapping and still generates interest and buzz and doesn't have to rely on a feature to do that. He debuted at number 2 with Houdini. And by the way, this song has been stuck in my fucking head. This has been the most catchy Eminem song to me in ages. And what I mean by ages is like 10 years. It's been a minute since I've listened to an Eminem song and not only replay it a lot, because I'll listen to Eminem records and replay them and enjoy them, but this I've replayed a lot, almost damn near every day, and it's been stuck in my fucking head. Abracadabra, cadabra. And for my last trick, like, this shit's just been insane. So salute to Eminem, man. People were saying it went number 2 because of the radio, something about radio streams that didn't perform, or they didn't add it to radio streams or something like that. So that's why I went number 2. It's supposed to go number 1. But if people keep streaming it, it's doing great numbers. It's the number 2 most streamed song in 2024, which is insane because Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us is the number 1. Had that beef never happened, Eminem would be having the number 1 title right now. So shout out to Eminem. Number 3, $1 Million Baby, Tommy Richmond. Number 4, Shabuzi, A Bar Song. Number 5, Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. Number 6, Espresso, Sabrina Carpenter. Number 7, Hosier, Too Sweet. Number 8, Teddy Swims, Lose Control. Number 9, Benson Bone, Beautiful Things. And then number 10, Zach Bryan, Pink Skies. Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us is a hit. It's been at the top 10 for a minute. Now, I know I say, like, hey, if you go number 1 and you don't stay at number 1, it's not a real number 1. But you got to remember, a lot of people dropped at this time. Post Malone, Tommy Richmond, these guys are like all buzzing on TikTok and all this stuff. So he got number 1, and all he did was drop to number 2. It's not like he went from A real not number one to me is like if you go number one that week and then you drop to like number 13 or drop to 20 or 30, like then you don't really have a number one. But going from number one to number two the next week, to me, still solidifies your spot because that just means there's been tough competition in that week or those weeks that you're coming out. So it's still in the top 10, top 5 actually. It's number 5 right now. So last week was number 2. So it stayed there. It's been in the charts for 5 weeks. So it stayed at number 2 for a couple of weeks. That just shows you that mainly it's competition. Post Malone and Morgan Wallen are literally like the biggest artists out right now next to Taylor Swift. So it's hard to compete with those guys. Going down the list, Like That, Future, Metro Boomin, Kendrick Lamar, number 14. Wannabe, Glorilla, Megan Thee Stallion, number 15. Damn, that shit went up a lot. SZA, Saturn, number 16. We could go band for band. Fuck that. We can go M for M, number 18. That's doing good on the charts because I know Central C hasn't been big in America, but he's getting some good looks on there. And he's reviving Lil Baby's career because we haven't heard a Lil Baby banger like that in a minute. Yeah, Glow, number 28. Get It, Sexy, Sexy Red, number 30. One of One, Gunna, number 31. Euphoria, Kendrick Lamar, number 33. Type Shit, Future, Metro Boomin, number 37. Sexy Red and Drake, You My Everything, number 49. Fiend, Travis Scott, Playboy Cardi, number 56. Going down enough. Cardi B, number 64. By the way, Cardi B talking about not releasing a sophomore album. She's feeling the pressure of songs not performing well for her. I mean, that first album was ginormous. She might have the sophomore jinx going on here because it's been since 2018 since she dropped an album. She might just have to take the Lauryn Hill route and just say, fuck it. I dropped one ginormic album, which that album is insane numbers. I mean, she's got like 2 diamond singles last I checked. Or at least 1 diamond single I know she has off the album. And sales, at least the album's like triple platinum or some crazy shit. So regardless, she's struggling for the sophomore thing. Family Matters, Drake, number 69. Kanye West, Ty Dolla $ign, Carnival, number 72. Gunna, On One Tonight, number 88. That's it. Yeah, that's it for the Billboard Hot 100. New music. The reason why I'm going over this is because we missed the last podcast episode. So new music and then album sales as well. New music, Don Toliver, Hardstone, Psycho, the album. Moneybagg Yo, Speak Now, the album's out. Quavo, Mink, song is out. Khalid, Adore You, song is out. LL Cool J, William Roberts, and Fat Joe, Saturday Night Special is out as well. Tusi, Where You Been is out. Pharrell Williams, Double Life, which we talked about earlier, is out. Young Thug, Lil Gotti, and Lil Key, Twisting Our Fingers is out. Anderson .Paak, Why Load album is out. Rob 49, Def That Drink is out. Fabio Foreign's Suve Theaters is out. Common, Pete Rock, Dreamin' is out. And that's it. Shaquille O'Neal and Notorious B.I.G., You Can't Stop the Rain. This is a song that wasn't on streaming platforms. We actually went viral with this video that we posted, and Shaq shared it too on our Instagram, Diverse Mentality. We posted the song on there, shared it, went viral. So I think that's maybe a reason why he's adding it back to streaming platforms, because he saw the hype on that. So this is an old song he did with Biggie. It's on streaming platforms, so you guys can enjoy it. It's called You Can't Stop the Rain. Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, and Notorious B.I.G. Album sales, Taylor Swift, The Tortured Poets Department is number 1 with 128,000 sold first week. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, number 2 with 107,000. Charlie, CXC, Brat, number 3 with 74,000. Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time, number 4 with 71,000. Bon Jovi, Forever, debuted at number 5 with 54,000. A Tease, Golden Hour Part 1, number 6 with 43,000. Morgan Wallen, Dangerous Double Album, number 7 with 43,000. Shabuzi, Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going, number 8 with 41,000. Noah Khan, number 9 with 41,000. Future, Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You, number 10 with 37,000. SZA, SOS, number 13 with 34,000. Gunna, 101, number 14 with 33,000. Eminem, Curtain Call went up a lot on the charts at number 20 with 24,000 sold. Insane. Thing came out in 2005 or 6. 2005, sorry. Going down the list, Travis Scott, Utopia, number 31 with 20,000. Glorilla, Everything, number 33 with 19,000. Drake, For All the Dogs, number 36 with 19,000. Kendrick Lamar, Damn, number 37 with 19,000. Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City, number 43 with 18,000. And that's it. And that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. I hope you guys have appreciated it. Of course, powered by the one and only Golden Eagle Energy Drink. Get your Golden Eagle Energy Drinks at drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. They sponsored all season 4 of the podcast. Please support them. Show them love because they're supporting us. That's drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. Support Spotify, YouTube, Podcast, Deezer, all that, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, wherever. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.